All right. Happy Friday, everybody. This is Scott Pierce, Executive Director from the Premium Cigar Association. And this is a great Friday edition of our PCA Live as are absolutely in the throes of getting ready for the big PCA trade show. And to kind of start off a little bit of the conversation, we're going to talk a little bit about the PCA trade show. But today we're talking with Omar de Frias of Fratello Cigars because really we kind of had an interesting way that this product hub kind of came about. It was supposed to have been last month actually, but we just the way things worked, we ended up kind of doing it here in June, kind of leading to the trade show. So Omar, how are you doing, buddy? It's great to
I'm
see you.
fantastic. Thank you so much for the invite, my man. It's been a
Buddy, look,
while. How you been?
you're busting open a bottle of something, and I still got to drive, so I'm just drinking coffee. What are you drinking, my friend? Oh, look at that, man!
Little Aperol 16, it's
Very
one
nice.
of my personal favorite drinks. Double cash with short. You can't get no better than this, man. So, about to say cheers
Fantastic.
on you right now.
Yeah, cheers. Oh, look at that nice big ice cube right there. See, this is the way Fridays are supposed to go. Friday at 5. That's perfect. That is perfect. I've always said my idea of heaven is the feeling you get Friday at 5 o'clock because it's the most weekend
That
that's in front of you, right?
is very true. That is very true.
It stems from an old Simpsons episode where the kids go home from church and they're just happy, and Marge was like, "Why are you so happy?" And Lisa Simpson basically says the same thing. Mom, this is the most time we have between the time we have to go back to church again. So let us have it. So it's
It's
kind of that
true.
same thought. But man, you're doing it right. Look at that nice pour right there, and you're lighting up the Nevada Inverso, which is what we're going to talk
Yes,
about.
sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. About to light it
Perfect.
up.
Perfect. So just to give a recap, beautiful. Look at that. All right. So let's talk about that. So just to give a recap for our retailers that are out there. So we launched this, this product hub with this idea that it'll be a way for different types of products and cigars and things like that and promotions to get to our retailers, but in a different way, in a way that was designed specifically for a way to help put resources back into the fight for our retailers. And so Omar stepped up a couple months ago and was like, "Hey, I'd like to be able to do this project with y'all. I'd like to be able to give back," and offered up one of your great cigars there. That's the Nevada Inverso. And so, just as a recap, so basically every box that's sold, Omar is donating $10 back to the PCA Advocacy Fund that goes right towards all of our state advocacy fights. So anything we're doing to fight smoking bans, fight flavor bans, is what we're in the throes of right now, tax increases, and even fighting for things like tax caps and cigar bar legislation. All of that goes towards that. So it's a great way for manufacturers to help kind of support that. And Omar stepped up to do that. So I if we lost our visual there with you, but oh, there we go. So the promotion is 25% off of any size of the Nevada Inverso. But I wanted to have Omar on today to talk a little bit about the cigar. So if you don't know about it, it's got a really interesting story, and Omar is going to be able to tell that story a lot better than I can, because basically the Inverso reversed out the way that the regular Nevada was actually blended. So I don't know if you can hear me, Omar. If you can actually, if we can hear you. Oh, we just lost him. So he did that to me right before we actually came on, and I said you're going to give me a panic attack. So, but anyway, so if anybody has any questions in terms of the way the product hub works, you kind of come into it. You go through the system if you're a current member, and then you just simply put on the quantities of the boxes, and then Omar and his team will contact you just to kind of finalize that. It's nothing, no commerce is being done through PCA. We're just simply gathering the information from our retailers. So good to have you back. You keep having panic attacks, man.
It's
It's a good thing
people.
you're
People
not
keep on calling me, man. It's I'm a popular guy,
You
bro.
are a popular guy. It's Friday night. They know that you're the guy to call if they're going to go out and have a good time.
Listen, man. I got Abrelor. I got an Inverso. I got you. Great conversation. I mean, you
Right.
blame them for keep on calling
I
me?
know, I know, I know. This is the life, right, my friend? All right, so let's talk about this cigar. So I love the concept when it first came out. It was actually really interesting because you guys sponsored, Fratello did, when we first launched right before the pandemic, our education series where we were going to go around and was basically like a roadshow of education series. And we kicked it off here at the townhouse. And at the time, Justin was working for y'all. And so you all
Yeah.
sponsored it. It was great. You came and you brought that Nevada Inverso. So that was the first time I ever got a chance to smoke it. And for me, it was like this great experience. I was like, wow, I love being able to talk about this last night with Cigar Coop, and I was like, I love being able to tell like the different nuance, even if it's the same blend of a box press, versus just a regular rolled cigar. So this was a really interesting concept of taking the blend of the Nevada and completely reversing it out. So how did that all come about, and why did you want to explore that, and what changes came about to the cigar because of you doing the blend that way?
Yeah, so that's a great question, Scott. I think one of the things that I was trying to do, to be quite honest, is like we had access to such great tobacco under the original Naveta line that we had aged for 4 years, right? And this was Naveta was meant for a limited production, limited release. That ended up not being the case. It ended up being a full-blown release, but because we had so much tobacco that already has been aging for so long, we figured just continue to buy tobacco. Let's continue to ramp up that inventory, and let's just see how it goes, and just make sure that we can at least keep on with the production. What ended up happening is we kept on buying this tobacco from this farm, and the tobacco just, man, it was getting better and better. The flavor, the age. So I said, why can't we use some of the similar tobaccos that we have, but let's figure out a way to utilize the tobaccos that we had on the Naveta line, but let's just see if we can inverse the tobaccos and see what kind of flavor profiles we get. And I'm not gonna lie, man, this is the easiest blend I have probably ever done in my company. But it was one of the most fun ones because, like I said, I used the wrapper on the original Fratello Naveta that launched in 2017, and I put that wrapper, which is an Habano Ecuador Oscuro, and I put it on the binder of the cigar, the Naveta Inverso. And then on the Naveta has a Dominican binder on it, and I used that and I put it on the filler, but I increased the ligero to give it a little more strength because it's a olor dominicano. And then the filler tobacco that we used from getting that Naveta tobacco, we used a co-joining farm that was very close to the farm that we were getting the tobacco, and we put that as a wrapper. So it's got an Habano Nicaraguan wrapper, and it is delicious. It's entirely different from its father. I call it kind of like the son of the whole situation. And the branding of it came out amazing. So this is a
it's
box
beautiful.
of what it looks like. It's a cigar that retails between $10 and $14. But I want to tell a story about the inside of it. So the Naveta Inverso, Naveta stands for shuttle in Italian. Inverso is inverse basically in Italian as well. But if you look closely to the inside vista, it basically is the nose of the space shuttle.
Oh, that's
Okay,
awesome.
so I worked in about 6 space shuttle missions myself. You see that it's got like the numbering
Oh
system
yeah,
within
look at
each
that.
tile. So when you look at the shuttle, the idea behind Naveta was that it kind of protects each tile, protects the orbiter in reentry. Each box protects our cigars on travel, and so that's the whole idea behind Naveta Inverso. It is a phenomenal cigar. We just got rated 91 in Cigar Snob, got rated 93 in a German magazine. I mean, the online ratings on this cigar are fantastic. So definitely check out Google Naveta Inverso so you can see all some of the things that are coming around about with the cigar, and it is phenomenal. And it pairs amazing with my Aberlour.
So yeah, and I had it, and I always like testing out different things to have with the cigars, right?
Yeah.
So the first time I had it, I went ahead and just had myself an espresso, and that was for me that was perfect. Just kind of what you're talking about there. It's a little bit stronger, it's a little bit heavier, right? And so I thought that was great, and even for it being kind of somewhat in the morning, was still it's not overpowering though in that sense, right? It's not one of those cigars where you're like, okay, I'm going to have to prepare myself and have a good meal beforehand. A lot of flavor, a lot of forward in that regard. But really, for me, that the espresso with it was a knock in out of the park as far as that pairing was concerned. So I can imagine that with that good kind of scotch. Is that what with that scotch right there? Is that more smoky, more peaty? How is that coming across?
This is a Highland region. Aberlour
Okay.
is to me it's one of the best distilleries out in Scotland for sure. Been around for ages, right? And so the 16 is perfectly priced. You can get this bottle for $80. But for a 16-year-old Scotch, God, Scott, this is smooth. It doesn't have. I'm not a very heavy peaty guy when it comes to my Scotch because it's that stone, that smokiness overpowers to me too much.
Yeah.
But people love it, man. It's if you like smoky, definitely check out some of those Talisker, some of those Scotches. But for me, man, Aberlour, the Long Highland, it's the way to
Getting
go.
some of that caramel coming through with that Inverso, it feels like that would be like something that would be a fantastic hit on the palate.
The way I best describe it is like a honeycomb. When you when you go to Europe and you go to a breakfast and they serve you those little
Oh
beautiful
yeah,
honeycombs and you kind of put on like a little beautiful cracker. You get that
yeah,
cracker, graham cracker flavor, sweetness. It's exactly what I get from this. This is something that I do. You and I have talked about this in the past. This is something that I do a lot with my YouTube channel. It's called Imperfect Pairings, where I try to utilize different pairings from specific cities, especially if I'm going to, like, I just went to Kansas and I did a great episode with Kendall Culberson from he has a beautiful cigar shops in Kansas City called Outlaw Cigar Company, and we did
yeah.
an episode smoking Fratello. It's going to be coming out very soon. It's smoking a Fratello and pairing it with barbecue. So I love
Perfect.
pairing. So stop me because I won't stop.
No, I do too. And so what's interesting is that a few years ago, for me, it was always, it was a post dinner cigar and a drink, right? And and that's always kind of been the way it was. It wasn't until years ago where I was invited to a dinner where we're sitting down and we're eating and we literally were smoking while we were eating. And for me, I was like, this is fantastic because you get, we're eating steaks or we're eating like these, bacon and candied Brussels sprouts, and we're eating these different potatoes. And so you're having all these different flavors that you're eating as while you're smoking and having a drink with it and everything else. But the cigar became part of that meal experience, and to see
Yeah,
the different nuances that changed with the cigar as you were eating and the different flavors, it really reminded me, number one, going through culinary school when you're kind of experimenting with all the flavors. But it really reminded me of I'd gone to a winery. It was for a friend's wedding, and it was really interesting because I've never liked sweet wines, and I still don't necessarily just drink them. But they were doing a pairing in that regard. So they said, take a sip of of our sweet wine. And so I drank it, and I was like, yeah, don't like it. They said, here's a blue cheese stuffed date. Eat that, and then take a sip of the sweet wine. I did that, and then it made sense, and on my palate, it was beautiful. And so that's kind of, I love what you do there with those pairings because so many different things can hit your palate in different ways, and that's what creates that overall sort of experience that you're looking for. And for me,
absolutely.
being able to incorporate cigars in that has just been a phenomenal, and that's why I enjoy cigars as much as I do because they add so much to that.
Yeah.
So in that sense, an imperfect pairing of any kind of food that you would have with that Inverso right there?
So I've done a few. The I believe I did it with a naveta at that time.
Yeah.
But I was in San Sebastian in the north part of Spain. It was beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I love the north of Spain because the food is amazing, the wine is outstanding, and so I went by this place that has oysters
Mm.
and some amazing chacoli, which is that beautiful, Spanish white. It's very particular to the region. And so one of the things that I did was pair the naveta with oysters, and
Oh wow.
I can tell you that there's no need to do that ever again. Okay, like it sucked so hardcore, man. I was blown away at how bad it was. But if you want white wine, dry white wine with oysters, then it's a kicker. But I've done quite a few, man. I've done things with, like, if you've ever been to Portugal, there's a
Yes.
spirit called Eduardinho and
Uh-huh.
Ginginha,
Uh-huh.
which is a distill out of a sour cherry, and it is incredible. It's got a beautiful sweetness, not too much, not overpowers, and I pair that with a Fratello Classico Fuoco, and it was incredible. So it really does depend, where you go, what are some of the pairings that you're doing that can really mash. Because I did one with our friends from Neptune Cigars down in
Oh yeah.
Florida.
I love that
um,
shop.
yeah, it's a beautiful shop. And Luz was like, "Hey, Omar, you should try the toston burger with the Fratello Bianco." And I'm like, "A toston burger? Like, are you just screaming happiness to me, Luz?
I know,
I
right?
mean, you bring a burger and I'm Dominican. We got tostones, coming out of the woodworks." I'm like, "Yes, please, sign me up and let me try it." And it's actually very, very good.
That sounds delicious. Yeah, I was gonna say if Luce recommends something, I'm definitely gonna jump on that. And so, yeah. So Yeah, it was funny because Christoph down there as well. I remember having a conversation with them. I think we were in the Dominican at a certain point, kind of talking with him about different kind of cheeses at one
Yeah.
point, as far as that's concerned. And so it was really interesting when you start to take that into consideration, particularly the cheese aspect of it, because for me, there's a lot of different flavors and nuance that comes with cheese as well, different animals and everything too. And it just for me that aspect of enjoying a cigar with what you're eating for me has been every bit as much of delicious and interesting as pairing with the
Yeah.
drink. So,
Yeah.
um, so just to remind again for retailers, go to the Portal Hub. This is the Navetta Inverso. The entire line is the promotion for the month for the Product Hub. And again, the Product Hub is geared specifically for a way to help PCA raise funds for our advocacy at the state level for fighting against bans and smoking bans and flavor bans and tax increases and everything else. And so Omar's doing this great thing to help support PCA's advocacy on that front. Now let's get to the big question. I was on a Cigar Coop show last night, and I think I'm on another one tonight. Everyone wants to talk about the trade show, which of course is what I'm excited about too. I think hopefully you're excited about as well. It is 4 weeks from today, is when we're going to kick off the day before the show, and the show will start 4 weeks from tomorrow. So for anybody that doesn't know, PCA puts on the big trade show that happens every summer, which is the cigar world kind of comes together. And this is for brands to go ahead and showcase what's coming, bring out some new and interesting things, and also to meet with the retailers. We gather probably going to have about 900 retail owners, about 2,400 or so shops that are going to be there. So we're really looking forward to having this good gathering. So I wanted to just kind of ask you, what can retailers expect from Fratello this year? You got any surprises that you're looking at? Anything that you are planning on potentially releasing or doing anything there for the trade show this year?
Yeah, absolutely. We'll use this medium as a way to let everybody know what's coming up. I've been working on a cigar with a good friend of mine in the industry that reached out to us with this idea, and it posed probably one of the biggest challenges that I've had in terms of blending a cigar. But I'm gonna make this cigar. It's a cigar that we're gonna launch as a PCA exclusive, so anybody who comes to PCA can get access to this beautiful blend. This is a cigar that is a
Oh
7
wow,
by
look at that.
52 basically, that, as you can see, is basically covered on both ends. And the reason we did this isn't rocket science. It's not hard to basically figure out where you want to smoke the cigar. The key of this cigar is what we did and how we blended it. Okay, so what we did with this blend is we basically wanted the consumer to be the one to determine how they want this cigar to start off for them. And if they want the cigar to start off mild and build up on strength, then they need to light it up and they need to cut it up on this end.
That's
If they want the cigar to light up and start strong for them, then they need to go up and light it up on this end. And so we're getting a lot of the details finalized because we're going to be launching a press release very soon on this, so that everybody obviously is
awesome.
aware of what's happening. But it will be a PCA exclusive. It'll be a cigar that's going to be a limited edition, and obviously some of the funds that come from the sale of the cigar, we'll be making a donation to PCA as well, so that people can continue to not only support us but support our organization, to know that the efforts that you guys do on behalf of our industry do not go unscathed from our view and from everybody else who appreciates so much what you guys do.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, no, the support that you've always provided has been fantastic. Like I said, from the sponsorships back from the education seminar that we did. I love this idea. I mean, this is like a choose your own adventure cigar, right? You get to choose exactly how you're going to interact with it. And I love that. And that the consumer approach to that experience, and that just takes the premiumization of the cigar experience up to a new level. That's fantastic. That's really
And
interesting.
and I'll tell you what's interesting about it is that this is not a cigar that's meant for you to cut it or do anything to it. It's a cigar for you to choose how you want your experience to begin. Do you want the cigar to be strong? Then you're gonna light it up on this end and you're gonna cut it. If you want the cigar to start off mild and build, at the end of the day, it's still gonna be a medium to full body cigar. Obviously, because the way that we blended the cigar is for the consumer to decide maybe I want to try this cigar and I'm going to light it up on the, so that it can be smoother, a little sweeter. It's got some creaminess. Then you got to light it up on this end. If you want the cigar to start off with a blast of pepper, much stronger, a lot of cocoa, a lot of dark coffee, a lot of coffee, a lot of dark cocoa notes, then you're going to light it up on the end. But it's a beautiful, beautiful cigar that we make in La Aurora in the Dominican Republic, and it's going to be an incredible, incredible success. So limited edition, PCA exclusive.
That looks amazing. Yeah, I mean, you said 7x52, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that right there. See, that right there is a great Friday evening too. You light that up about 7 o'clock, and you're good to go about around 9 o'clock, right?
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
I would light that up to watch a movie, and then I'm good to go when the movie's over with. That's exactly how I would do that one for sure, because that's oftentimes, it's interesting because cigars are very social, right? And we talk about that a lot. But I think that for the other component for me, in a lot of ways too, is it's I'll call it meditative, because I will oftentimes, I do like to go and just enjoy the cigar by myself, just to kind of wind down, And so I do. I like picking the larger cigars. One of those times where I'm going to need a little bit longer just to kind of chill and by myself, have a drink and have a nice long cigar. I really like this idea. So hopefully, there'll be one for me to share with the trade show, because I really like the idea of being able to start with something strong and then go into something mild and creamy, or starting with the mild and creamy and going to something strong. Because normally but that's like planned. But so that's really interesting, because oftentimes with the blends, you tend to get that, but not necessarily as it's like planned that it's going to go, here's the blend. So that's really interesting to be able to kind of plan that in terms of it. Was it like a special kind of way that you're kind of bunching those leaves as you get into it, because you're kind of having to make 2 cigars in one then, right?
Very, 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 very complicated to do, Scott. Like, Kevin from Cigar Prop, he's a good friend, and he reached out to us and said, "Hey, Omar, we know this is something that I don't think I've ever seen do." And then all of a sudden I was like, I think it's been done before. What I don't think has been tackled is allowing the consumer to kind of get the decision. So you can light up, you can cut a cigar, and you can cut this particular cigar and start smoking on this side. It's not an issue. But the blender, when he's putting the blend together, he's putting the blend so that you obviously light up from, you cut the cap and you light up your cigar, right? The difference with the vice versa, which is what we're going to call the cigar, is going to be that you can decide, because we blended it on purpose so that if you want to light up from one end, you start off with something light, nice, creamy, on the lighter end. Or if you want to start off strong and have the cigar kind of like die down a little bit more in terms of strength later on, then you can do that. So so we kind of blended it for both, for the palate on how you want to decide to light it up.
Yeah, that's what's really interesting. I like that a lot too, because basically, if you got a box of these, you have a choice. You buy a box of 10, it's really kind of a box of 20, because it's 2 different kinds. So if you wanted something strong, you can go ahead and smoke it if you want to, right? But on the flip side, you got a box of 2 different choices. So that'd be really that's really interesting. I think that's a great product, and
Thank you.
I love the idea of the consumer coming in, because I mean, quite frankly, it was really funny. We hold a lot of events here at the townhouse, right? And so we got a lot of people, and we use this as a staging to help educate folks on Capitol Hill about the industry and things like that. And so oftentimes we have people that have never smoked a cigar here. And so we walk through all about the cigars and everything else and what goes into it. And we've showed videos, and we do all kinds of things. We even have tobacco here in our humidors that we'll go through, and we show them the leaves. We go through the process. So it's a great education experience for them. But it's funny, because there's been a few times where we've had events here and people are lighting up, and they're lighting up the wrong end. And so we're like, well, let's go back. And so just as you said, you could, as a consumer, flip your cigar on if you want. The only other thing,
anybody can do that, but it's not what it's meant to do.
It's not what it's meant to do, and it's not blended for that purpose, right?
Nope.
The only other thing I've seen, it was a manufacturer that showed this to me, where he cut the cigar and then just cut the wrapper, and was able to pull the wrapper off, so that way he could kind of taste a little bit different, as far as that's concerned. He's doing it because he wants to taste, and it's giving him ideas, and obviously those notes and everything else. but that's really deconstructing the cigar the same way that, like, as a chef, I'm going to deconstruct it, the way something's made to try to figure out ways of doing it differently. This is
Right.
an entirely different level where the consumer actually has that opportunity. This is a really cool idea. I'm actually really looking forward
Yeah.
to trying that and seeing it, because I really want to see the difference between starting creamy and going to spicy, as
That's
opposed
right.
to starting spicy and finishing off more creamy. So that's going to be
That's
a really cool
exactly right.
experience.
That's exactly right. I mean, the body of the cigar at the end is going to be a meaningful body regardless, but it gives the consumer, because to me, I am that kind of consumer that I want to know if the cigar is going to have a tremendous amount of pepper up front, or is it going to be creamier than it builds up, that kind of stuff. We are telling you already, this is exactly what's going to happen. You choose.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and what's great about this though is that, just from my perspective, I feel like this has kind of been the case. So, cigars become a lot more popular the past couple of years, right? Not only are those, that have been smoking and smoking more, but I think there's a lot of new customers and consumers that are finding this phenomenal, industry and the products and everything else in this pastime. So I think that, what's interesting about this is that we have a lot more educated consumers and consumers that want to be able to get more educated about cigars and about the flavors and about the smoking experience. And so it's really, really cool to see an innovation like this, to where it's providing a new way to experience that. Because as the popularity grows and as consumers want to get more involved, it's a lot like, the spirits or bourbon, as they got introduced to it, and the popularity of bourbon that's exploded, or even wine, right? The more that, if you look back, over the decades, where wine really kind of exploded is when people really understood, how the wine was being made and the different regions and what the different grapes and the processes the grapes would, and the flavors that were a part of the blends, like what a Bordeaux would do or what a Merlot would do differently, and
Right.
how that's going to change those flavor profiles. And the consumer now with the cigars, that appetite is just, it's just expanding for that type of thing.
Absolutely.
So I think this is a perfect product for
Thank
the
you.
consumer to really engage with that, and take their level of cigar smoking and engagement with the entire experience to a different level, because you could experience two in one and truly understand why the blends are done the way that they are, that it's not just throwing some leaves together and lighting them on fire. There's really a lot of thought
A
and
lot of fun.
dedication that goes into putting in this product together for you to smoke.
Yeah, absolutely. No, there's only a lot of thought process, but I love the fact that the consumer is taking control of their smoking experience with this. You know what I mean? Like I said, you can light up a cigar from anywhere you want, and I've seen, especially with Perfectos, I've seen people light them up. I have a Perfecto that I launched about a year ago with Old Virginia Tobacco, one of our retailers here in Northern
Yeah, yeah.
Virginia, and it's called the Fratello Perfecto, and I've seen, probably more than 50, 100 posts of people cutting it and then lighting it up on the wrong end. And what ends up being an experience doesn't end up being the experience that I intended for the consumer at the very end. But in this case, it's just the consumer. We blended a cigar just that it can start off mild or start off strong, and then you can make a determination. The branding will be incredible and intact, and you will be able to determine which side you decide
Yeah.
to
And kind
go
of like,
with.
just what I was talking about earlier about eating that, blue cheese stuffed date, right? You get to have your own tasting experience with this, right? Drink different
Yeah,
things with the mild creamy end first, or whatever, and then switch to the spicy end with something different. And that's because oftentimes, your profile for your cigars that you normally smoke, you're going to get a similar experience every time. But in this instance, you're going to be able to switch that around, and so that's going to be really cool.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So, other than obviously front porch, where, and notwithstanding any, like, the cigar lounges are good retail members, what's one of your favorite places to enjoy a cigar?
So my favorite place in the whole wide world was my deck,
Mm.
to smoke a cigar for a variety of reasons. It was like kind of like a safe haven for me to like chill now, because I'm in the cigar industry. This is prior to obviously 2013. Um, Scott, I smoke everywhere, right? And I'm constantly working. So unfortunately do not have a specific place that I really, 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 really enjoy my cigars, other than all the time, because I smoke them all the time. But it's where I get a chance to be one on one with any cigar, doesn't even matter if it's mine or it's not mine. I have to say it's on vacation. because my brain, it slows down a little bit more than, being on the day to day. Like, I smoked 3 cigars already today. This is my 4th cigar, and so it's nonstop. So even if I go to my deck and I start smoking, I'm going to be working. So vacation for me, that's the
Where
moment
it's
where
at.
I get a
Yes,
chance to really,
absolutely.
really connect, and it could be anywhere.
So prior to launching Fratello, is there a particular cigar smoking experience that stands out to you? That was just like, this is my quintessential sort of Omar moment with the cigar. I've got a couple, obviously, but I think
Yeah,
a lot of people do. But for you, I think that's probably a little bit different because that trajectory most likely is what led you into the industry.
yeah. I've been smoking cigars since I was 17 years old, and so
18,
17, yeah.
18.
Dominican Republic. Remember, I'm Dominican.
Okay, it's Dominican.
We
All
can
right, all
start
right.
at 12, buddy. We
Yeah.
can start at 12 and drinking at 14.
It's kind of like a currency exchange, right? Like with whatever else, the dollar exchange, the 17 in the Dominican is actually 18 here. Yeah.
It's the kind of experience that only very few people. Can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Coming through.
It's the
Yep.
kind of experience that this is the only industry where you get a chance to, you go to the Dominican Republic, and this is something that I grew up next to a retail shop in the Dominican Republic, and
Oh,
I
okay.
will go in and I try to buy a cigar. I was 15 years old, and people would say, "Get the hell out of here! Your mother will kill me and assassinate me, boy. Get the hell out!" So he kicked me so many times that I ended up giving up, and I have so many. I went to Vail, Colorado with my dad in 2007. And I was looking to do an operation on my right knee because I used to play a lot of basketball,
Right.
and I had some cigars with me. I remember even the cigar that I was smoking at that time was a Joya de Nicaragua Antaño, 1970, and which is a cigar that I absolutely love and adore.
Yeah.
And I was smoking that cigar, and it was so special to be with my dad,
Yeah.
be in Vail, be in this incredible setting. And I mean incredible settings, you cannot put words to it. I can't snow to save my life. Okay. Last time I went snowboarding or snow or skiing, is it was like the worst experience of my life. I mean, 6'9", 300-pound men do not belong in a ski slope.
I'm
Okay,
sorry, buddy, but you could fly down the mountain if you got that wiggle
listen
right.
to me. When was the last time you saw Shaq on ski gear? Okay, there's a reason we tall men don't belong. We belong on like flat Earth. Okay, flat, something wood, something with stability on it. And so I ended up going. I went to school in Rochester, New York. I went to RIT, and I got my undergraduate from Rochester. And Rochester is very cold. There's a lot of skiing in Rochester. So
Yeah.
I went to Rochester, and one of the things that I ended up doing, which was very interesting, was I ended up basically going with some friends. And after they give me all of the tours, how all of the practices on, here's how you do it, Omar. If you wanna veer to the right, you put this thing right here, and you go to the right. If you want to go to the left, you just put
French
this a
fries
little
or
bit
pizza? French
more.
fries or pizza?
Yeah, French fries, really pizza, all that crap. It doesn't take rocket science to understand, but I did that. I did exactly that. But I also told and learned that if you put, both of your stuff together and you put like this and you go really, really fast. So, I'm an adventurous guy. So let me try that. And I did. And I was going down the slope so fast that there was a little girl that was right in front of me. Bear in mind, this was a green slope. Okay. This was like the baby slope. Okay. This is where like all of the people that are beyond like 5 years old and below ski, and Omar. Okay. I was flying down, Scott, and at one point I see this girl. It's like, okay, I got to turn because I'm going to literally take her with me in this like snowstorm that's happening. So I'm trying to like turn, and it's not turning. And I'm like, damn, what the hell? Did they lie to me? Am I supposed to put it on? So I kept on hitting and hitting, and I did the whole pizza and the sliding thing, whatever the hell it was.
Yeah.
And dude, it was like I either go down or I take this girl with me, and I went down.
Yeah.
Last time I ever did that, man.
Yeah. So that's I absolutely know not what to get you then for any kind of present will be a ski. So it's not a ski vacation that you're looking forward to having a cigar. It's very much a beach vacation, right?
I'll wait for you to come down the slope, okay? Yeah. Hope all your limbs are intact, and then we'll smoke a cigar on the hot tub. That's what I say.
That's fantastic. Look, I grew up in Utah. I grew up in the mouth of a canyon where people, I mean, it's skiing, everything else, like 7 minutes from Snowbird ski resort. I've skied twice in my life. So yeah, I was at the top of I was in Switzerland. I was at the top of Mont Blanc, and I hear these guys, they're Americans behind me. So I was like, hey, what's going on? Where are you guys from? These guys were not even ski bumps. These guys go travel around the world doing skiing, and they were from Colorado. I was like, hey, I'm just on the other side of the Rockies from you. I'm in Salt Lake. And he's like, oh, well, whereabouts? And I said, well, I'm assuming you guys know where Snowbird is. I'm like, yeah. I was like, that neighborhood, as soon as you come down to the mountain, that's where I live. And they were like, oh, man, God, you must have just spent your entire life on that. And I was like, I'm sorry, I've never skied Snowbird, and I've only skied twice. And it was like I had blasphemed, their God. They were so incensed that I didn't ski. I was like, I'm sorry, man.
They gave you the death stares.
They did. They absolutely did. And so I said, I'm sorry, guys. I said, I can appreciate it. But yeah, so that was, unfortunately, I never got into the skiing thing when I was there. So I can absolutely, totally empathize with you in that regard. Because the one time I did, I've only been skiing twice, and both times were night skiing because it was with this youth group that they would go up, and my friend's dad owned a ski shop right there in the thing. So we would get he would give me the skis for free to rent and go up, and I would ski for $1, right? So I was up at Brighton Ski Resort in Big Cottonwood Canyon. And so I'm skiing with my friends who were phenomenal skiers. They've been skiing since before they could walk practically. And so they take me off this trail off of the actual slope. And I'm like, I don't know what the hell you guys are doing, but kind of like you, I'm like, let's just go with it, right? And I'm skiing, and it goes down like this, and they're used to it. And all of a sudden, I'm like, I'm not touching ground. And so I kind of have a panic attack, and I kind of clench down. And when I hit, and I just rolled. And then suddenly I'm like chest deep in this powder. I'm yelling at these guys that they got to come get me and try to find these skis for me and everything else. And I had to like hike back up to get back onto the slope and go down again. So I can feel your pain as far as that's concerned. I didn't, threaten any, 3-year-olds or 4-year-olds life, but other than my own. So
I was pretty close. Pretty close. I mean, I probably almost died because, it was pretty bad. I mean, maybe nobody has ever died on a green, but if there was ever anybody who would die, that would be a 6'9" Dominican. That would be.
Well, I was gonna say you're 6'9". That's a lot of body that's gonna have to go down. Right. I mean, right? Yeah. The 3-year-olds can fall. They're made of rubber, and they're just gonna bounce right back up. You're gonna keep going into the parking lot.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. Well, I feel your pain on that one. So I don't know about water skiing either. I've tried water skiing a few times, and that I felt like I was taking my life in my hands, but nowhere near as much as going off the trail off the slope or the run in the dark, trying to snow ski. All right, so Vice Versa is launching at PCA 2022 for retailers. Go see Fratello at their booth. You'll be able to get that. I'm looking forward to absolutely getting that. And then again, the Product Hub, the Navetta Inverso, 25% off the entire line, and again, $10 per box. This is all to support the PCA Retailer Defense Fund. And so again, thank you so much. It's a beautiful box. The box tells so much of the story there. So that box is definitely a keepsake. Beautiful cigars. They're very, very delicious.
Thank you.
So yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it.
I chose one of the best in my company to do this. So I hope everybody gets a chance to try it.
Yeah, absolutely. So Product Hub orders, it will go through the end of this month, and then we'll get to see Omar in July in Las Vegas.
Let's do it.
Hey, thank you again. We so appreciate all the support for PCA for doing this, and looking forward to seeing you at the show, and looking forward to trying the Vice Versa. And so retailers, go ahead and get the Navetta Inverso at a good discount, but also for a great cause. So Omar, I hope you have a fantastic weekend. Enjoy that scotch and cigar. I am actually going to go home, and I'm going to do the exact same thing. Pour myself a nice good drink and for my entrance into the weekend as well. So I really appreciate it. James right there just had a Fratello DMV yesterday. Yeah, DMV right there, right?
Love it. That's right. Let's support the DMV, baby.
Not that far away, but we're the D and the V. We just need the M right now. So we got the DV going on between the two of us. So that's good. So yeah, DMV, great cigar as well. So Omar, always a pleasure to see you, my friend, and look forward to seeing you soon at the trade show. And retailers, go ahead. And if you have any retailers, if you have any questions or anything like that, as far as the product hub, please feel free just to give me a call or shoot me an email at any time, and I can go ahead and get you taken care of. So Omar, have a phenomenal weekend. Thank you again for all the support. Appreciate it.
Blessings, Lenny. Bye-bye.
Take care.